lot of us have been doing it for a lot of years. We've worked together, and we felt like it's necessary to give back to the community. A lot of people don't learn these things that we're going to teach, especially when it comes to home ownership and how to leverage home ownership, and how to then protect it using different products that we offer. So take notes and ask questions. We want this to be interactive, so like whatever question you guys have, feel free to raise your hand or just ask the questions. And then obviously afterwards we can stay and talk to you guys. But the way we structured the seminar is we're going to go over 4 topics. The first one, we're going to go over mindset. So the reason why we're starting with mindset is because if none of us are in the right mindset, basically all the stuff that we're going to teach you afterwards is not going to mean anything. Because if we have the wrong mindset, we're stuck in our limiting beliefs, we let ourselves be guided through fear, we're not going to do anything because we're scared. So if we understand mindset, understand how to set proper goals and things like that, we're gonna act basically, and you got a support group here that's more than willing to help you. Then we're gonna jump into loans to talk about the different loan products that are offered and how to use that obviously to invest. And then we're gonna talk about the real estate investing, so instead of financing, fix and flips and things like that. So we're gonna run through a couple of case scenarios, and then we're gonna end it with life insurance and how to protect all of your assets once you accumulate these properties. So again, ask questions. There is no dumb question. That's why we're here. We're all here to learn. So without further ado, we're going to present the first presenter. So our first presenter is Gerardo Lemus. So he's been investing in real estate since 2017. He is a licensed NLP coach and also a real estate agent. He's worked in a lot of fix and flips and things like that. So he brings a ton of knowledge. He's obviously all these guys are really good friends. So Gerardo.
Thank you, Steven. How's everybody today?
Good.
Okay, first of all, I lost my voice 3 days ago, so I'm going to do the best I can to project. If you can't hear me, let me know. How many, I know a couple of you have done mindset, but do you know what your mind can do, the power that it can do, where it can lead you, where it can take you away from? Our mind can take us either to the deepest depths of our life, or it can take us to the highest peaks. And it's up to us to see where that goes. Where is your focus? Where is it that you think? How many of you guys have ever shopped for a car, and let's say it's a yellow car, and then next thing you know is everywhere you drive you see a yellow car, right? Or a yellow truck, but it's there. Or if you're looking for a supercar and it's a Lamborghini, you're gonna start seeing them everywhere. And then all of a sudden you say, well, everybody has it now, but do they really all have it, or is your attention just there? So that's a little bit of an example of where your mind takes you, depending on where you're focused. We all have beliefs, good beliefs, bad beliefs. They're based on our values. Some good beliefs that we might have is, oh, if you've been going to the gym for a while, oh, I'm getting strong, I'm stronger. I'm being able to lift more weights. If you start earning money in your business, hey, I'm starting to achieve success. Or I'm starting to develop and grow other people. Beliefs, I mean, there are some beliefs that are ingrained so deep in us. For example, I know my skin is brown. That's a very firm belief. And then have you guys ever heard of like affirmations when people wake up and say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that? Mm-hmm. You have to kind of think on one end, if you have to affirm it, is it true? How do you take it from that step of it just being a belief to being concrete fact, to where you wake up and you don't have to tell yourself, I'm a millionaire, because you're a millionaire. There's, on the other end, limiting beliefs. I know when I was little, I would always tell my dad, hey, I can't do this because I'm short, And I remember one day he stops me, he's like, mijo, he's like, greatness isn't from here down. It's not your height, it's from here up. And then since that day, like, that was never an issue. So he took that limiting belief, crushed it to where I can grow. What are some limiting beliefs that you guys have had in the past? Hiram?
Just whenever you're facing a hard task, you're like, yeah, I don't know if I can do this. So
Yeah.
just, constantly questioning the things. We all go through that. But reminding myself that I've done hard things in the past. This is just another hard thing that I can do.
Yeah, and it helps you face that limiting belief. Angel?
I actually just learned that I'm not patient enough. So I think that's a huge thing. Well, I'm not patient with others, 100%.
Yeah.
And she knows this because she's my sister, okay? But I'm not patient with myself. So if I'm not patient with myself, then obviously that's why I'm not patient with anybody else. And it's true because I want things now.
Yeah.
Like I don't shop online because I don't want to wait for the stupid package
You
to
just
get
wanna
in
go
my
and
house.
get it.
I just want it now, you know? So it's the same thing with everything else. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think one of my limits is my own patience with myself.
Yeah.
So
and
I
it's
think-
good that you're conscious of it now, huh?
Yeah, I had somebody approach us.
Bring it up.
It was good.
No, you need those. You two are partners, right? So there's this thing I got taught a few years ago that we date or we marry our unconscious mind. So they can typically spot out what we might have to work on a little bit faster than
Yeah.
we can. And that kind of, I mean, before I go to the next slide, staying on limiting beliefs, how many of you have heard the story of the elephants and how they get trained? Since they're babies, they get tied up to a giant tree that they try to pull for months and years, and then finally they get to this breaking point that they just stop trying. And then once the trainers know they've gotten them to that, they can tie that same rope to a tiny stake in the ground, which the elephant can for sure move, even a human can move it, but they have that belief now that as soon as that rope goes on, no matter how much they try, they're gonna stay there. So, talking about the unconscious mind, in the book Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, he talks about how we spend 95% of our lives unconsciously, and only 5% consciously. So you may ask yourself, like, how is that possible? Well, let me give you examples. Like you just said one, right? You went your whole life up until that point believing that you were maybe patient. And then it took somebody else to say, hey, you're not. And then that's where it comes to the conscious mind, to where you can actually start doing something for it. Your unconscious mind runs millions and millions of bits of data per second, and your conscious mind can maybe handle like 172 bits out of those 40 million that are coming in. And a little example, or a little, how can we call it, a little exercise we can do to show you just how much information we delete. I want you just to pick maybe a corner of the TV. Just look up, pick a spot anywhere on the wall on the TV. While you maintain contact on that spot, just notice your awareness expanding. What did you visually delete? What are you noticing now? Do you maybe see the person next to you? Do you see certain doors that you had deleted up until I said it? What about auditorily? What did you delete? What do you hear that was deleted? Cocomelon. And while you maintain contact there, what do you feel? What feelings did you delete? Maybe the seat pressed against your legs, or the shirt pressed against your body, or your breathing. So our brain deletes so quick because it just can't handle all the information until you bring it to consciousness. So it makes you wonder how, because going back to the first slide where your focus goes, that's where energy goes, that's where what you attract. If you spend your day focusing on, oh, this went bad, this just happened, you're gonna keep focusing on that, and instead of finding solutions, you're just gonna stay focused on what went bad. Or we can put that to the side and then maybe reach out to somebody. Sometimes that helps, where they can help you change your focus. I know me and Brian do it all the time. If I get in a slump, he's like, okay, how can we focus on a solution? And then all of a sudden, all the problems that I was focusing on, they're gone. And it's like, okay, now we're finding solutions, strategies. It's one of the presuppositions of NLP, and it says that there are no unresourceful people, there are only unresourceful states. And that's with everybody. Everybody is truly doing everything they can with the tools they have. And sometimes it's up to us to help each other. Hey, you know what? I don't see in your tool belt you have a hammer. Here's mine. Like, let me help you out. Or you don't have a saw. You're trying to cut that tree with dental floss. It's not gonna work. Here's the saw. And that's essentially how it is. You know, is as soon as you get those other tools, those other resources, it really starts to open your mind to different possibilities. And if we live 95% of our life unconscious, we should really start to maybe focus a little bit of that consciousness, maybe like 1% on discovering what we're ignoring. So what can we do to eliminate these limiting beliefs, these negative emotions, these values that were installed that might not be helping us? First of all, by assisting seminars like this, trainings, where you're surrounding yourself by people that maybe have already gone through certain things that you're going through. If you're barely starting into flips and you come here, there's multiple people in the room that have already done a flip. Instead of you figuring out and rewriting the entire book, just take the hand of somebody that's already been running while you're just barely starting to crawl. Another one is by assisting trainings or hiring a coach that focuses on eliminating limiting beliefs, negative emotions, because they can get down to the root. What happens when you pull a weed just from the top?
The root's still there, it's gonna grow back.
The root's still there, so it comes up. So you have to yank it from the roots to where that negative emotion or limiting belief is just gone. There's no point or way for it to regrow. If something else grows, cool. Now you move on to that next emotion that you faced, or that new belief. Because as we grow, we're gonna start, it's like an onion, you start shedding these layers, right? The limiting beliefs I have now are gonna be different than the limiting beliefs I have when I'm making 10 million a year. They're gonna be so different that I don't even know what they could be. Like, they haven't came up yet because I'm not there. You can read books to develop your skills. If you're not that great at finances, cool, pick up some financing books. If you're not that good at emotional resilience, get books that teach you about your emotions, how we process them, how they work. If you don't know real estate, pick up some books on that. If you want to know how to build wealth and save it for generations, there's books on that, like the Rockefellers. There's so many people that have already done what we want to do that we really don't have to invent it, we don't have to figure it out. It's all there. We're in the age of information. Associate yourself with people that are doing what you want to do. It kind of goes back to that thing where tell me who you hang out with and I'll tell you who you are. Or you're the 5 incomes of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. You're the 5, essentially like personalities of the 5 people you hang out with the most. If you hang out with 4 people that are partying, you're the 5th. If you hang out with 4 millionaires, you're the 5th. And it just keeps going. And then most importantly, being extremely conscious about how your thoughts create your reality. If you just leave it up to chance, it's gonna feel like chance. Sometimes we look at people and we say, dang, that person's lucky, like, how do they do that? Are they really lucky, or has their attention and focus been on those goals that they want to achieve? Right? I don't believe in luck. I don't believe in any of that. It's our preparation meeting an opportunity, and you just have the resources to take a step. A little exercise. I want you all to close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Now imagine yourself in a kitchen. It can be anybody's kitchen. Notice on the counter there's a cutting board, and you walk towards it. You notice that on the cutting board there's a knife, there's a lime. As you pick up that knife and slice through the lime, you notice the juices flowing. The knife gets wet, you set it aside, You pick up that lime and you put it to your mouth and you squeeze. And you feel the citrus behind your tongue. And then you can put on some chips or something. Just kidding. But how was that? Like, your body naturally feels like it's the real thing. You can't tell a vision. You can't tell what's imaginary and what's not. So if we're constantly running patterns in our head where we're focusing on what the negative thing could happen, you're gonna attract it. Like, simply put. I remember one time when I was 16, I would be driving and I'd be texting. And I'd come home, my mom would say, "What are you doing? Why are you texting? You're gonna get in an accident." I'd ignore it. The next day, come home from work, texting, pull up, "You're gonna get in an accident." 2 weeks later, an accident. So we have to remember that other people's words can also infiltrate our unconscious mind because they're suggestions.
Especially religion.
Exactly. She has. So
And music
if it's
just-
your mom, she has a little bit more music,
Music a lot.
Yeah.
social media. I don't know if you guys, I know it happens to me, but say I'm bored and I start scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, and there's a lot of like negative things on there. I start to personally feel like bad, and I
That's why I don't watch the news.
exactly.
I
the news
personally
is
do not
probably
watch
the biggest
news.
one. I don't watch it either. I
You
was
know,
thinking
the
the
big
other day.
the Chernobyl is in
Mhm.
Mexico. In Mexico, that's happened in September, the
The
earthquake. So
Uh-huh.
now the people
Now
is
they
just
all the
waiting,
energy,
for
all
the
the
earthquakes,
energy.
and the last past years
Uh-huh.
is the earthquakes in September. And it's the same
Yeah.
day, so
No, and it's all true. There's
Yeah.
this book, it's called The Field, and they talk about the 0 point field within atoms. Because even within atoms, there's space, right? And the thing that travels through that is energy. So our thoughts create this field, and we literally, how they say, the law of attraction. If you focus on something, it's going to send the energy through the field, and you're going to attract that thing, whatever it might be, good or bad. The field doesn't know good from bad, there just is. So it's like, what are you focusing on? Even right now, you might start thinking of like, oh shit, like, I've been thinking about this the past couple of days. Maybe I should stop. What do you want instead? That's the main question I ask myself all the time. If I start thinking of something, oh, what if this flip goes bad? No, what do I want instead? Step on the side. And what is it that I really want? I want this deal to go good. Like, our brains are so powerful and people don't realize that. You literally have a quantum computer that will give you everything you want. It's just up to you to tell it exactly what you want. The conscious mind is the goal setter. So that's why when you sit down, write your goals, you're consciously setting those goals. Once you have them, once you know where you're going, your unconscious mind just does everything naturally. It'll take the actions at the unconscious level where you don't even notice that you're talking to a certain person because your mind knows that it's going to get you closer to that goal. It just does. It just takes the action. So let's talk about fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Fixed mindset, they avoid challenges. They avoid literally anything. From when they were little and they wanted to maybe join a sports team. Oh no, I can't, I'm not good enough. Growth mindset, they view those challenges like, hey, I've never played soccer in my life and I'm 22, let's see if I can get to the pros. Like, to that level. And I actually have a friend, his name's John Madsen. He had never touched a football until college. Never. Like, he never even thought about playing football. But as soon as he went to college, he's like, I'm gonna play for the U. What did he do? He made it on the U team. And he even told himself, I will get to the NFL. Right after college, he got drafted to the Raiders. He played with them a few years. So it's like, he had so much trust and commitment in himself that he did it. Like, there was nobody that could tell him. You wouldn't think anybody that never touched a football in high school would make it to the NFL. Fixed mindset, they refuse to receive criticism or feedback. You try to tell them anything that could help them, they put up a wall. Instead of saying, like the growth mindset, they embrace it, say, hey, you know what? I never noticed that. let me take a step back, analyze it, and then start taking actions towards it. They focus on improving yourself with, if you have a fixed mindset. Growth mindset, they focus on the process, not the end result. It's about genuinely enjoying the process. If you're on your way to get a certain license, they're enjoying the classes, they're learning and developing themselves every step of the way instead of just saying, why am I not at the end yet? Fixed mindset, they feel threatened by other success. They say, oh, if, you know what, Steven, I saw you do that deal, why can't I? That's messed up. Instead of saying, hey, like, dude, good job, like, teach me how you got there. They can't accept failures or mistakes. Growth mindset, they learn and grow from failures. There's this thing I live by. There is no failure, only feedback. There's no failure.
I struggle with that a lot. I'm so hard on myself.
And you
No,
have to take a
you're dumb,
step
you
back.
messed up.
Yeah,
Why'd you do
exactly.
that?
You never truly fail until you stop trying.
Exactly.
Oh, nice.
So if you're constantly getting feedback, it's like, I just lost his name. Edison, I think, that said that I found 1,000 ways not to create a life.
Right, yeah. There you go.
Fixed mindset, they shy away from unfamiliar things. They won't even touch it if they don't know it. They won't give themselves the opportunity to develop a new skill, start a new career. They're just fixed on where they're at. They're really comfortable. Growth mindset, they always step out of their comfort zone. I'm a firm believer, and Brian knows this probably better than anybody. If I'm comfortable, I'm like, how do I get into some debt so I can be uncomfortable? Good debt, obviously, not bad debt. But how do I do something to get me out of that comfort zone? Because there's essentially 3 zones. You have your comfort zone, you have your growth zone, and you have your hyper growth. The hyper growth zone is where you see those people that they start something and it takes off to millions within a year or 2. And they're not really even perceiving any negative part of it because they're receiving so much benefits from it, so much rewards that their unconscious mind is like, this isn't even hard, this is easy. And then fixed mindset, they believe that talent is static. Growth mindset, they believe that talent is ever improving. Which is true, it's practice makes perfect. Where is it that you're lacking that you can improve on and continue to grow from there? So in conclusion, having a growth mindset is one of the most important, if not the most important things to have. It's gonna determine whether you grow or stay stagnant, you get out of your comfort zone or stay in the comfort zone. And somebody could give you $1 million right now, but if you have a fixed mindset, you're just gonna spend it. What happens to lottery winners? They go broke within 2 years, and it's statistically proven within 2-3 years they're back to where they were or worse. We have this thing where I teach my clients where, you know, your thermostat at home, where you have your temperature set, and as soon as it gets to a certain low, the heater will kick up and bring it up here. Or as soon as it gets a certain heat, it'll kick on and come back down here. We have that financially. If you have a peak on your mindset of how much money you can make, unconsciously you'll hit it there, and your brain will say, hey, this is too much money, how do I waste it and keep you back here? Or, here's the other side, I used to struggle with this a lot. You wait until your bank account hits here, and then you're like, oh shit, what do I do? How do I get back up here? So we have that thermostat. The point is, and the goal is to have it grow. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you guys. Thank you, bro.
Awesome. Yeah. Gerardo back in 2018. So I met him, I think it was like 2017 when I met Gerardo, and in 2018 we did like a little session, I guess. Like he was just like, hey, come help me, you know, with my training or whatever. So I went, and he asked like a lot of those questions, like, you know, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Things like that. At that time, in 2018, so 2016, I got my real estate license. My goal was to leave my job. So at that job, I was there since 2010. I made good money, and I had, honestly, at the time, no plans to really leave. I was like, I could probably do real estate and this at the same time. because I have this guaranteed income, and whatever I make real estate, you know, it's extra money, so it'd be nice. As I, you know, progressed and decided like I wanted to do it, I wanted to go full time, but I was scared, right? Because I wouldn't have that consistent income anymore. So it was always like, well, what happens if, you know, I don't have close a deal this month or 2 months or like whatever. So I kept making excuses. So we did like a session with Gerardo, and he basically was just like, let's set some goals. Like, you want to quit, then let's set some goals. So he went through this whole thing where it's just like, he sat me down, he's like, all right, you need to picture yourself, where are you going to be when you write up your, what is it called, when you're going to quit, the 2-week notice thing or whatever that you send out. He's like, where are you going to be, you know, what are you going to say, what date are you going to put on there? And this was, I believe it was September, and I had put that I wanted to quit in December. So I said I was going to quit December, I had the date, like all that stuff. So, you know, I left thinking, yeah, I'm going to quit December. So that was going to be the goal. And a couple weeks after that, we got an email at work saying, oh, you're going to get a raise at work. And I was like, oh shit, more money, okay, maybe I could stay here for a little bit longer, and, you know, I'll just push that out. So when that had happened, then I think it was like 2 weeks after that, when that email went out and all that stuff, I ended up getting fired from my job. And when I talked to Gerardo, you know, for me, it made sense because I had made a commitment. I had made a promise that I was going to do something, and I went back on it because of my limiting beliefs. So the way that the universe played it out is like, you know, you're too scared, you know, you're not strong enough to do it, so the universe pushed me. And the only way it was going to happen is by me getting fired. And that was October 22nd of 2018. And we're here 2023, been employed since then. All the limiting beliefs that I had, because it was, well, what if I don't have consistent income? What about my benefits? I'm not going to have health insurance anymore. I'm not going to have all this stuff. Retirement, all that. 5 years later, I fund all that stuff myself. I, you know, with my self-employment income, bought a house with self-employment income. Stuff that I didn't think I was going to be able to do. So limiting beliefs are real. Like, you have to understand them and be conscious of them and be able to like shut them down when it happens. So I always thank Gerardo for that session that we had. So our second speaker is another good friend, Manfred. He was one of my first deals when I got my real estate license. He actually helped out my brother-in-law and sister to buy their home. So Gerardo has been in the industry since 2001. He started off as a realtor, helped 250 families buy homes, and decided to transition into mortgages. So he's helped thousands of families get into homes and obtain home ownership. Some clients who probably shouldn't have gotten into it, he was able to find ways to do it. He's awesome. He's the president of Rely Home Loans. So he's worked in multiple different companies, and he finally decided to open up his own company because he saw his value. So he has a ton of knowledge, so I present to you Manfred.
Thank you, Steven, for making it sound good. So I don't usually have a PowerPoint presentation because I like to interact with whoever's in the class or whoever I'm speaking with. So today, I know that last time you guys were here, we have a couple new attendees. So raise your hand if you own a house. I mean, you guys do? Not yet? Okay, what's stopping you?
I don't know, I'm not ready yet.
You're not ready yet? Okay, so today I'm gonna talk about money, because nobody likes to talk about money. The people that have too much money, they don't want other people to know how much money they have. The people that don't have money, they don't like people to know that they don't have money, right? So we don't talk about money. And especially in the Hispanic culture, like don't talk about money. We're always just told, just work hard and save your money, right? So who thinks it's a good time to buy a house right now? Raise your hand. So the people in real estate, raise their hand. The people that are not in real estate, they're like, oh, hell no. Okay, why do you guys think it's not a good time to buy a house?
Because rates are too high, prices are high. I mean, I bought still on a high rate and a high price.
How long ago did you buy?
That was a year ago.
Okay.
Year ago? Yeah. Year ago.
Okay.
Year ago, and it was, yeah, I mean, a house that I think should be worth a lot less, right? I mean, we love it, that's not the problem. It's just like, I don't think it's like, I see these other houses, and my neighbors bought before us, so because they're new builds, as a new build goes, it probably goes up in each one. And so we were one of the last ones.
Okay,
So they got big houses, we got little
so
houses.
you feel like you overpaid?
100%, yeah.
Okay. What was your interest rate?
At the very beginning, they were gonna give us a 7.25. So we have to buy down points, so we got it down to 4.25.
Is that a buy down, it's not a fixed rate?
It was a buy down.
Okay, so you're gonna end up maybe at like a 6.5%, so you did a 2 buy down? Okay, what do you guys think rates are now?
Higher.
Okay, so are you glad you bought a year ago?
Yeah.
There you go.
Problem
Problem
solved.
solved.
There you go, feel better about yourself. What about you? How long have you been with your house?
Me?
Yeah.
Right before COVID, so.
Oh, you're one of the lucky ones, you're one of the chosen ones.
Well, I had to move all the way to Tooele, cause that was where I was able to afford at that time.
Okay,
I wanna do it by myself, so,
congratulations, you were
Thank
able
you.
to do it.
thank you.
Okay, so if you don't mind me asking, you probably refinanced in the COVID era.
No,
Okay, good. So when you purchased your home, what interest rate did you get?
it's like 3.5.
Okay, that was kind of COVID area, COVID time. So, you guys heard the saying, and this is like, when we buy things, 95% of the time, we buy things because it's an emotional purchase. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so let me prove this to you. When you buy your house, do you get pre-qualified before calling a realtor, or do you call the realtor before you were pre-qualified? Before. Because a lot of times you see this awesome property, you get excited, you're like, I wanna buy it. And you don't even know your finances.
Wait, your proof of.
Yeah. Because it's an emotional purchase. So this is what's happening right now. People are not, a lot of people are holding back from buying houses because of the emotions. We only hear the negative things. Rates are high. Houses are expensive. And we only hear the negatives. That's why we're not buying a house. That's the truth, because stock market. Let's talk about who has bought crypto. So we're broke.
Yeah.
Okay,
I wanted to buy, but
Okay.
it's expensive.
why, you guys, there is a very smart saying, says that you should buy when nobody is buying, and you should sell when people are not selling. If people are not buying and you buy, you're gonna get a better deal. If people are not listing their houses and you list your house, you're gonna get more for your house. But psychologically, we do the opposite. We see everybody buying, we get excited, we wanna buy too, and then we overpay. We see people selling, and they're like, oh shoot, why are they selling? Maybe I should be selling. And then we have to sell for less, because there's more properties on the market. So what does that tell us? That right now, if you feel you're not ready to buy a house, figure out what it is that you need to do to be ready to buy a house. Because this is a good time, because people are not buying as much. So you gotta go against the grain. If you wanna make a good investment, do the opposite of what most people are doing. Because people are spending money in an emotional way and not in a smart way. That's how people get money. That's how people get rich. Because people buy things and sell. So what happened right after COVID? Stock market crash, right? Guess what all the millionaires did? Bought stocks. They got them on discount. Now as the market is rebounding, they're making even more money. Because they went against the grain. They did the opposite of what the majority of the people were doing. When the market started coming down, everybody got scared, sold. They sold at a discount, They waited for things to bottom up and then they bought. So that happens with real estate. Real estate, it's a cycle, it's a financial cycles. So through history, every 10 years, and trust me, I'm like the elder in the room with these young kids that they invite me to participate, and they're all young and, you know, they have full heads of, you know, hair, and there's me, right, I'm like the elder. But I've seen probably like 3 financial cycles in real estate. I've been doing this for 23 years. I started when I was 10. Just kidding. See if anybody believes me. But, so every 10 to 12 years, we were having cycles like this, where real estate will start going up. And then there was price adjustments. It will go up every 10, 12 years. We have adjustments. Then 2020 hit, and like messed up the cycle. And the reality, the reason why we're in the situation that we're in right now is because of the pandemic. I mean, that totally messed up the financial cycles in real estate because people could predict. So there was more buying confidence because they're like, well, things are kind of low right now. You know, there has been, in my opinion, 3 times in history when we could not predict what was going to happen with our economy. Great Recession, when everybody came home after World War I, and there wasn't enough jobs for everybody. Right? Like, everybody went to war, they came back, there wasn't enough jobs. We went through a huge recession. 2008, which was a housing crash. Now, do you guys really want to know why 2008 happened? Well, there was a lot of political pressure for the government to develop programs to help people that couldn't qualify. So that's why they came out with all these stated income loans, people that didn't need to prove their income, and everybody with a heartbeat could qualify for a home. If you had a good heartbeat and a good credit score, you can buy for as many houses as you want, right? And investors thought the economy was gonna keep going up, and they kept building. Then next thing you know, we had a lot of people that couldn't afford their mortgages, they couldn't refinance, and the economy, like the market, was flooded with properties. So people couldn't sell. So from 2007, 2010, we bottomed up in 2010. Then it started increasing, it started recovering until we got to 2020, which was COVID, and it really messed up the cycle. But prior to COVID, we were waiting for the adjustment in real estate. Now, real estate is for patient people. Because it's not crypto, it's not, you don't hit the jackpot, you know, it's like, real estate takes time to earn money. I mean, like, that's what they say, real estate is the safest investments because eventually it's gonna go up and you're paying off the debt, and the difference is your equity, and as long as you keep your house for 10 years, you're gonna make money. The problem that I see is that we saw a huge spike of equity between 2020 to 2022, that a lot of people are expecting to keep getting those gains of equity. But if we kept going that way, I mean, nobody's gonna be able to afford a house. So, so far, any of you guys have any questions? No, okay. So since COVID, all the agencies, they have tying up their guidelines, so it's a little bit tougher to get a mortgage nowadays. But there's a lot of programs for people that qualify. So if we can prove, if you have the ability to pay your mortgage, there's a lot of mortgages available that you can buy with, you have a lot of down payment assistance, you have a lot of low down payment mortgages. So if you really want to buy a house or you want to buy a second home and you want to invest, there is endless programs that you can take advantage of. Now, who can tell me, because we hear, like, social media, we hear a lot of things like, perfect time to buy now, refi later, buy now, we'll do your refi for free later. Dude, they're just trying to get you to buy a house. I mean, most mortgages, I mean, like, the number of applications we have in the market is some of the lowest we had in a very long time. And banks are not circulating their money, so most banks are losing money. So they're trying to entice everybody to buy a home. I mean, we're gonna talk about money, so I'm gonna tell you the good and the bad. So, can somebody tell me, when do you think it's the best time to buy a house? Come on,
From the sounds of it now, yesterday.
well, probably 20 years ago, but
Yeah.
we don't have a time machine, right? In my opinion, guys, the best time to buy a house is when you can afford it. I mean, let's be honest. If you can make the payment and you can pay your bills, great, take advantage of it, buy real estate, because it's a very safe investment. But if you cannot afford it, because right now what's happening in the market, everybody's trying to get people to buy real estate with the hope the rates are gonna drop and your situation is gonna get better. Yeah, I mean, it's a cycle. Most likely rates are gonna drop, but nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows when. We're expecting next year, like usually smart people say, second quarter, end of first quarter of next year, we're gonna see it's election year, we're gonna have great opportunities, rates are gonna drop. Yeah, we can always refinance, lower the payment, but if you can buy now and you can make your mortgage payment right now and you're okay, you're not gonna overextend yourself, and then you can refinance later, your situation is going to improve. But what I seen right now is people are getting 2-3 co-signers to be able to buy the house, and they just can't afford it. So the reality is that the reason why mortgage payments are high right now is because of the cost of the properties. Not necessarily the interest rates. I mean, if you go from like a 7% to a 5.5%, it's like a $400 payment difference. But when you're at $3,700 to $3,300, I mean, you still gotta afford a $3,300 mortgage payment. So prices have gone up, and although they kind of leveled down and maybe they came down a little bit, they're not gonna go down. I mean, most people, this is like the 2 questions, and it's kind of like I already know the answer. I already memorized the answer, because everybody that I take an application for is like, Omar, when is the market gonna crash? And the values are gonna go down, right? I should wait. Well, the reality is that values are not gonna go down, because 70% of all the people that own properties have an interest rate under 4%. So if you have a property with a interest rate of like 4%, you have a low mortgage payment, so you're not gonna get rid of it. You're not gonna list the house, you're not gonna sell it. You're gonna keep the rate. So if you want to invest on real estate, 90% of the time, you're going to rent a house and buy another house. That's the idea. That's what we teach our clients, utilize the loans where you can rent your house, buy another house. Wait a year, rent a house, buy another house. And that's how you're gonna create your real estate portfolio without spending so much money out of pocket. But what happens when we do that every time? We take a property off the market and we're not contributing back in. So then the demand of housing is gonna keep staying strong. Again, what keeps prices high? The demand. Now, there was a study that this dude from the University of Utah that studies the population growth in Utah, and they're expecting by 20 years from now, from Provo to Ogden, we're gonna have a bigger population than Seattle. So if we think I-15 sucks right now, imagine how it's gonna be in the future. So if you feel that maybe you didn't buy a great house because you have to go to Tooele, we're out of room. We have like lakes and mountains. So there's no more room to grow. So everybody's going over the mountain. I mean, there's plans that there's gonna be new cities created south of Utah Lake. I mean, I heard that in Tooele or Grantsville, they're gonna build like a daybreak community.
Uh-huh, yeah.
So honestly, like whatever you buy, it's not a bad place to buy. Because we're running out of land, our population is growing, and that demand is gonna keep staying. I mean, it's gonna keep going. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, use what you learn in these seminars to try to get a little better, maybe make a little bit more money, prepare yourself better to buy a house. But if you're waiting for property values to go down, you're gonna end up paying more money. I mean, I had clients that I met with 2 years ago that they didn't wanna pay $350, now they're buying $450. You know, cause they realized they were wrong on the market. So anyway, so I have a lot of stories about loans, real estate, but honestly, I'm here for you guys. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. So I know that I only get like 30 minutes, so I'm almost up. Like I said, I don't have a beautiful PowerPoint like this, guys. I like to just talk because things change. From whatever I talked last week to this week, like the market changes. This week, the Feds didn't raise the federal rate, and rates went up. So most people think that when they're gonna start lowering the rate or keeping it steady, rates are gonna get better. But no, actually every time they raise the rate, the Federal Reserve rate, interest rates get better because it's a sign that we're still fighting inflation. So that was the update for this week. We did lose margins on the rates, so rates got a little bit higher. Like I said, I honestly believe we're gonna finish the year at a 7%, 7.5%, depending on what kind of mortgage rate you get. But if you wanna make some money, take the pill, take your medicine, pay a little bit more, buy real estate, and hang tight. And eventually, the economic cycles are gonna, you know, go on our favors and we can make a lot of money. So, Steven, thank you for having me. Like I said, I don't have a PowerPoint because I like to answer your questions. So, anything I can answer for you guys? No? See, I'm kind of boring. Well, thank you guys for coming. Again, anything we can do to help you guys or answer any questions about mortgages, I'll give you guys my business card at the end. We'd love to be a resource for you guys. And honestly, like these guys are taking a lot of time to come in and share some knowledge. So we appreciate you guys coming over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks.
Matt has a lot of knowledge, so he's a good guy to have in your corner. So next presentation, we are gonna go into the investing side, so talking about seller finance, fix and flips, things like that. So our presenter is Brian Cencion. He's been investing in real estate for 6 years. You know, he likes art, he likes to cook. He's actually a really good cook. He used to do my meal prep, so if you guys want meal preps, that's your guy. He's a really good guy. So any questions that you guys have, ask questions. I'm sure this is one of the most popular parts of the seminar. So without further ado, Brian.
Hello, hello. Just, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Okay, good so far? Good so far. Okay, let's see. They have it? Watch out. Is that on? Yeah, that's all right. Oh, nice, okay. Hey, perfect. Alright guys, I'm gonna be teaching you about creative financing. How many people know about creative financing already? Raise your hands. Steven, what do you know about creative financing, man?
It's just being able to take home ownership or get into investing without like the traditional route. So
Right.
like not home loans, so going through like a lender. So
Yeah, no, that's good, man. Yeah, there's a lot of, like when I first started investing in real estate, a lot of people were telling me, hey, you guys can invest in real estate without using any of your own money. I was like, what the heck? That's probably not true. But that actually is true. So, a little bit about myself though. Yeah, my name is Brian Cincion. I was born in Jalisco, but I came over here when I was 3 years old, so I'm pretty much American now. So yeah. I do. Oh yeah.
Exactly 3 years old.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I would say I'm American more. English is definitely my primary language. But yeah, no, I love cars. In fact, during high school, I took like auto body, automotive classes, all this type of classes to go into mechanics. As soon as I graduated, that's not what I did. I went into culinary school. I did that for like 3-4 years, but I soon realized that was not my life. That's not what I wanted. I was working every single weekend. Doing double shifts, closing and opening the restaurant, only getting very, very short hours of sleep. It just wasn't for me. Until Gerardo, I was at the gym and he came up to me and he was like, hey dude, like long time no see. I was like, yeah, dude, it's definitely been a while. And then he goes like, hey, you need to come over to this real estate seminar. I don't know, some of you guys might know Renatus. I don't know if you guys know that. So that's how I started into real estate. But yeah, no, it was really good. And again, yeah, I've been in real estate for over 6 years now. Pretty much the first year I studied real estate and I didn't do my first transaction until the following year. But I saw the vision. I saw the vision that real estate could do for us, and especially just owning rental portfolios and eventually having multifamily and then commercial space too. So there's a lot of stuff that could be done in the real estate world. It's not just fix and flips or long-term rentals and any of that type of stuff. Okay, so I'll just get right into it. So why real estate? One, why real estate?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Why are you here?
yeah, to
What's your
learn.
goals? To learn?
Yeah, to learn more about real estate.
Yeah, okay. Is it more of like long generational wealth, or is it more
Yeah.
for you, for your family?
Yeah,
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 for the kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was thinking as well too. What about you? Why real estate?
Another form of income.
Yes, exactly. Nowadays, one source of income is not gonna cut it anymore. We have to have multiple sources of income. Why real estate?
Well, because I see it is the best, probably the best or the fast, giving more money in
Yeah.
your pocket.
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm
yeah.
working so hard like a mechanic.
Oh yeah.
And
Everyone who bought during COVID time got instant equity, at least like 50K in equity from 1 year to the other. That's insane, just for owning a property. What about you, Sophia? Why real estate?
all the above.
Yes, yes. Yeah, you know. Okay, so how do we find these deals? You guys have an idea of how we find these deals?
Knock on doors.
Yes, I used to do that. Man. That was hard. But honestly, probably the easiest way to get real estate is just buying your primary property. It really is. Either house hacking it or just purchasing it and sitting on it until the following year where you can pull some equity out on it and then go buy another property. So, creative financing options. So we have 3 options here. We have hard money and private money. We have the HELOC or a cash out refinance, and then we have the seller financing. So I'll just start off with I guess it's I'll start off with the middle one because that's probably the easiest one, especially if you already have your property. So who knows what a HELOC is? A lot of people know, right? You guys know. So a HELOC is a home equity line of credit. So basically it's a line of credit against the equity on the property that you guys have. So if you guys have a property that the mortgage is $400K and the valuation on it is $500K, you have $100K in equity. So you guys could use that money to go buy another property on a down payment, or you could use it for a flip or whatever you guys would like. The HELOCs are variable interest rates. So if you owe money on it, you'll pay interest. But you can have a line of credit, exactly like a credit card. If you don't have any debt on it, then you don't pay any interest. So it's really good for the flexibility of it. Or you could do a cash out refinance. So that's just a straight cash out refinance that your typical lenders could help you out with on that. And then seller finance, and then hard money and private money. So hard money lenders, those are like very, very high interest, strict loans, typically used for short period of time, so for fix and flips. Anywhere from like a 12% and 2 points, and then they only lend up to either 80% or 75% of loan to value of the property. And then you have your private money. The private money is just like friends, family that you could reach out to, but that was just within your warm market. And then, yeah, you could offer them whatever interest rate they want. Because a lot of the times, there's people out there that don't know where to invest their money, but they actually have legit money, and they don't want to put it in the banks, because the banks are probably earning like, I don't know, less than 0.5%. So a lot of the times you guys could charge them at least 12% interest on their money. So, and then seller financing, this is definitely my favorite here. The seller, basically the seller is holding the existing mortgage under their name, and what the transaction is called is contract for deed. So you go to the title company and you write up a contract for deed. So until the actual existing loan is paid, that's when ownership is going to be transferred over to the new buyer. So essentially the seller still owns the property, but the buyer is first option, or they're just making payments until they pay off the loan, and then that's when it's theirs. Or they do a refinance and they pay off the existing loan, and then that's when it's under their name, so that's when they fully own the property. Questions up here? I know this is a lot of information here. Any questions?
Can you explain the seller financing?
Yeah, seller financing is when the seller holds the mortgage under their name, and you do a contract for deed, and the buyer comes in over here and just takes over the monthly payments with the same interest rate, and then usually the buyer will come in with a bigger down payment because they are holding that mortgage. So yeah, that's what that is. And I'm gonna get into a little bit more detail. I have some really good numbers. Okay, so this property, one property, I went through every single phase on it. So one property I did a fix and flip, that same property I did a buy and hold, long-term rent, and then that same property, now I'm gonna sell it on a seller finance. So just one property, I literally did every single transaction. Okay, so fix and flip example one, and I got two examples here. So the ARV, which is the after repair value of the property, is $430,000. At that time I was licensed, so I was able to run my comps and all that type of stuff. The purchase price that I bought the property for was $305,000. The agent commission, since I was licensed, I wasn't gonna pay 6%, so I covered that on the selling portion. But the agent commission to bring the buyer is gonna be 3%, and that was $12,000 and $12,600. The rehab that I estimated that was gonna be on this property was gonna be $60,000. The closing cost was $5,000. Normally it's anywhere from below $3,000, but in this case, because I bought the property from a wholesaler, the wholesaler had me pay both closing costs on it, so it was $5,000. The hard money that I borrowed, I found a friend that had $61,000. My other friend had $244,000, so this was the hard money right here. This one was hard money, that was private money, and then this was private money as well too. And they charged me 12%, and in interest, that's how much I was gonna pay. So you just do the math over a period of 12 months. So you do 61,000 times 12, you get that full amount, and then you divide that by 12, that's how much interest you'll pay per month. Typically, fix and flips, anywhere from 4 to 6 months is when you're gonna be borrowing the money. So I just did the calculations up to 6 months and how much I was gonna owe for the interest. So and then the 244, that was the hard money lender. He charged me 12% plus 2 points. 2 points are the initial upfront cost to start the process of the loan. And then after that, it's 12% interest on the property, or on the money. And then my other private investor had 60,000, and that was just 12%, so that was that. Okay, and then the profit was gonna be $25,740 on that. And this was my very first project that I did on my own, so 25K in 6 months, hey, I was chilling, I was liking it, I was liking that, especially my first one. So, I'll tell you guys, this project went south real quick. First of all, when I bought this property from a wholesaler, I called the guy because he told me it was a certain date to go look at the property. I went to go look at the property. I get there, no one's there. Like, no one's literally here, and I'm just like, oh dang, where's everybody at? You know, because everyone was supposed to come and see this property all at once. And I called the wholesaler, and he goes, hey, no one's here. And then he was like, dude, I'm so sorry, man. Then the walkthrough was yesterday. I gave you the wrong date. And I was like, oh no, it's okay. Like I'll just skip on this property. It's all good. And then I hung up with him, and a couple hours later, he called me, and then he just told me, hey man, I feel really bad for what happened. If like do your numbers, and if you want to submit an offer, I'll give you the first chance to get this property. So I ran my numbers, and I did my offer. I was like, all right, cool. And that's what I came up with was the 305. But I didn't do an inspection on the property. I didn't even walk through the property. I was just on the ICSR, and I only saw it one time, and I had some photos through my email, and I took the chance, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna just do it. Because I really wanted it. I really wanted it, and I just didn't care about anything else that I did. So and then I ended up buying the property, and then after I bought the property, I did the inspection. And that's when I found out nothing was wrong with the property foundation. Everything was good, but it was just it was super outdated. Original owners, they owned it for 60 years, the property. Nothing was done to it, man. Nothing, bro. It was just super outdated, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, whoa, it's gonna be a lot of money. So I was already in the hole. So now I'm over here trying to find some contractors. So first of all, hire professionals. Because I already knew that this budget was gonna go over, I was trying to go the cheapest route. Don't do that, please don't do that. I ended up finding this friend that said he knew the whole rehab process. He was like, yeah, dude, I even got a dumpster, my own truck, I'll do it. My dad does all this fix and flip stuff, and I'm like, all right. They brought this guy over from Mexico that knew all this construction, not from Mexico, but he was from Mexico, like, you know, didn't know any Spanish. He's like, yeah, I can do all this stuff.
He didn't know any Spanish?
Sorry, any English.
Oh, I was gonna say, man,
he only knew Spanish.
That's a huge red flag, bro.
Yeah, but he did a lot of this rehab out there in Mexico. So everything that he did on the house, up to code in Mexico, not up to code in the United States, man. He was doing his electrical like through the wall, through here. It was just horrible. It was like the most, nothing was up to code, and I had to do some electric work that required the city to go there. And I called the city, I got the permit for that, and when the city got there, they saw everything else, and immediately, they didn't even continue looking at the house. They stopped my work, gave me a stop work permit, or order permit, or whatever, stop work, what is it called?
Stop work notice.
Yeah, they gave me that, slapped on the door, they're like, stop all your work until you get permits, and I was like, man, everything is happening right now. And from a 6-month project, that ended up being a 1.5 year project. Yeah, because the rehab money from the rehab of $60,000 ended up being $95,000. I didn't have that money. I had to come up with that money in at least like a period of 2 months. And well, I was licensed by then, so and I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna have to sell some properties or do something. And then yeah, sure enough, thanks to God, I had 3 transactions that helped me get that money, and then I ended up finishing the property. Actually, so basically, hire your guys as professionals. You guys have to hire your professionals. You guys don't necessarily have to know the information, but just hire professionals no matter what. And then, and definitely do not make decisions under an emotional state. So because I was so, because the rehab was going to be so much, I was like very, very stressed, and I was just like, no, I gotta make this happen. There has to be cheaper people to do this. I ended up having to do the drywall myself. I did some of the electrical. I did some of the plumbing. Like I had to do so much stuff by myself, and I didn't know anything. And it was just the worst experience ever. Okay, but that's because I went through this. You guys don't have to. Okay, so now the person with the most flexibility is going to be the one that succeeds the most. So I had to switch up my whole game plan. I already had an extra strategy because I had already learned all this type of stuff, but it was my first time doing it. So now I had to switch it to buy and hold. So you have the option to fix and flip it, and then there's other strategy that's called buy and hold. So in other words, it's the BRRRR. So you buy, you rehab, you rent, you refinance, and then you repeat. So that's basically the buy and hold strategy. So now this fix and flip is going to be a buy and hold. So now I'm going to finish the project, and then I'm going to find renters after that. And then after I find the renters, I'm going to refinance it, put it under my name, and then that's going to be a long-term hold. So yeah, when after I finished the property, the good thing was, it was during the COVID time, so values raised like crazy. So initially, the property was worth 430. After I finished the project and I got the property appraised, it appraised for 500K. So all in, I was at least 400K. So there was some really, 450, I was all in. So there was some really good equity in the property, and that actually helped me a lot during the COVID time. But yeah, no, the rehab ended up being $90,000. No agent commission because, well, I didn't sell the property. And then the closing cost ended up being, for the loan and the refinance ended up being $10,000. And then hard money, well, that turned into a lot more over a year and a half. So I ended up refinancing, everything was good. Essentially, poll permits, guys, that's very, very, very important. Again, have your professionals, have your team to do it. You know, again, you guys don't necessarily have to know it, but just have the team with you guys for sure. And then after owning the property for 6 months, if you guys know you guys are gonna be purchasing and renting it on the long term, you could own the property for 6 months, and that's when you guys could start the refinance process. And the refinance process takes about like anywhere from a month to 2 months. So you guys could, before you already know you're gonna be finishing the property, you could start up ahead of time and do the refinance. So just kind of be aware of those kind of things. And then after I did the buy and hold, I rented it out. When I did the whole fix and flip, I already knew that I was going to be adding a kitchen, a whole separate unit down there, because I had a separate entrance and all that type of stuff. So when I finished the project, I moved down to the basement, and then I rented the top half out. So I was just kind of offsetting the mortgage until I could you know, go for the next year, and then I could sell it. So now I'm in the process of selling the property. I'm probably going to be doing it next year or here in a couple months, but I'm going to be selling it on a seller finance. So seller finance, you have a 10% markup only because you are holding the mortgage. You essentially are the bank. So the lower the interest rate that the property has, the more of a bigger down payment that you could ask from the buyer. The smaller the down payment, the higher interest rate that you could offer. So for example, right now, currently, I was just running the numbers last night. The property is worth 470, so I did lose 30K in equity, but it's still good. The markup on it is gonna be the 10%. It came up to like 510, 515, but I don't know, probably the property isn't probably worth that much, you know, in my opinion. So I just kind of did the numbers based off 490. The remaining of the loan amount on the property is 394. The rent that the property is generating right now, because I moved out of it, now I live somewhere else, and I rent to the top and bottom. The property is generating $3,450. The mortgage payment is $2,776 at 5.75%. This is already a high interest rate, a little bit, and I'm looking more for a down payment so I could pay off my investors. So that's why I'm not gonna raise this, but typically you could raise the interest rate 2% higher. So I'm just gonna keep it at that to offer the investor that's gonna be purchasing the property some cash flow. So if we minus the 34, or so we minus the 27 from the 34, the cash flow is gonna be $680 per month, free and clear. And when you sell this property on a seller finance, you're not responsible for any of the maintenance on it. You technically don't own the property anymore. So you're getting $680 per month without actually physically owning the property, doing any of the maintenance on it, any of that type of stuff. So, and the down payment that I'd be asking for is 100K. So 50K of that would go to my investors, and then I would profit the rest. So seller financing is definitely a good way to essentially make some cash flow, own a rental property without actually owning it. So this is example B on another property that me and Gerardo purchased. I like this one a lot. So I had someone come up, my supervisor from work. He came up to me and told me, hey man, like I need to sell this property. I'm getting a divorce. And I was like, okay, cool, man, I got you. So the ARV to this property is 460K. We purchased the property at 411 at a 2.75% interest rate, and the monthly payment on that was $1,909. The down payment that the seller wanted was 80K. So we got, me and Gerardo obviously didn't have that money, so we're like, all right, we gotta get creative with it. So what we did, we ended up finding investors who did have the money. We had a private money investor who had 60K, and then we offered them 12% with 2 points on their money. And then another investor, we had 10K at 12%. And me and Hera, we couldn't find the remaining of the 10K of the 80. So we're like, man, let's just go back to the seller and ask him if he could sell or finance that 10K for us too. So yeah, he agreed to it. And we came to the conclusion that we're just gonna pay him $100 interest-only payments until we pay him back on the 10K. So that's how we got the remaining of the 10K. Now we came up with the 80K. For earnest money, all we did was just put $100 down. Inspection was $550. Closing cost was $350. So in total, out of pocket, me and Gerardo spent $1,000 to acquire this property. The interest rate again was 2.75. The monthly payment was $1909. Rent rates in the area is either $2,700 through $2,800. So if we purchased this property and we got renters in that property, we would have been cash flowing $891 by just investing $1,000. So we facilitated everything. And that's what investors do, is they facilitate. So, but we ended up moving in there. It was a low monthly payment, and we found some roommates in there, and we just moved in there, and then yeah. So we just offset our mortgage, our housing expense. But on the seller financing, it's very important to go with a title company that knows what they're doing. There's only like two title companies here, right, in Salt Lake that actually do these type of transactions. So it's gonna be GT Title and then First Liberty Title. Those are the two title companies that really specialize.
That do it right.
That-
Other ones will try to do it too.
Yeah, exactly. And on First Liberty Title, they actually have an attorney that helped Utah Real Estate draft up their seller financing addendum too. So he's very knowledgeable in that area. So again, the seller financing, this is called contract for deed. On government loans, for example, FHA, VA, USDA loans, those are assumable loans. So you would still have to go through the pre-approval process, but you could assume their low interest rates. So this one was a VA. So me and Gerardo, we could have gone and applied and assumed the whole loan. And then in that situation, we would have actually physically owned the property. But in this situation, well, you know, we weren't gonna get approved for it. So we were like, all right, let's raise the money and let's do a contract for deed. And this one was really cool. I liked it a lot. So, and then now we're at the point, it's probably gonna happen like next year, but later in the future, we are planning to sell this property on a wrap. So seller finance, wraparound mortgage is what it's called, okay? So now, because we do have that low interest rate at a 2.75, we have the option to resell this property at a higher interest rate. So selling price is a 10% price markup. So the selling price of it now is $506. The down payment that we are looking for is gonna be $90K. That way we could pay off the hard money lenders at $80K plus interest. So the closing cost is roughly gonna be $1,000. The seller financing amount, that how we would sell the property on a wrap, it'll be at the 6.5 interest rate, $90K as a down payment. This is the amount that's gonna be financed, so $416. And we bought the property for $411. So that's more than okay. You know, that covers our mortgage side of it. Our mortgage side of it. So with that being said, the monthly payment is gonna be $2,629 for the new buyer. Our mortgage payment is $1,900. The utilities and taxes, well, that's on the buyer. They're taking care of that now.
So that cash flow is gonna be higher, cause the 1909, you forgot to deduct the taxes and insurance.
Oh, yeah,
So it's
yeah,
gonna be
okay.
closer to 1,120 cash flow.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, you're right, on escrow, right? Yeah. So, and then we also subtract the escrow, which is gonna be title insurance and then taxes. So really how much is it? Can you do the math?
1,120. I did it in my head while you were.
Okay, good, perfect. So 1,120 is the actual cash flow once we sell this property. And we don't even own it. We don't have to do any maintenance on it. We don't do nothing. We're not liable for any of that type of stuff. So for sure, the wraparound mortgage, that's one of the best ways. And especially because a lot of people did buy properties during COVID time. They have that interest rate, right? So if you go out to those people, friends, family, I don't know, whoever it is, or someone refers you to it, and they say, hey, I have this low interest rate, I wanna sell this property, but I don't wanna go buy another property because I'm gonna have this high interest rate. Okay, well, they could sell their property on a wraparound mortgage, the interest that they update, that offset, or that cash flow that they're gonna be getting, they could carry that over to their new loan, their new property. I mean, yes, the higher interest rate, but that will offset the new mortgage payment. So there's ways to get around. There's again, the person with the most flexibility is gonna be the one that's most successful. So yes, there's higher interest rates, but there's always strategies, there's always ways that we could adapt and we could still make transactions happen. For the most part, oh yeah, and I also do wanna talk about this. This is actually really important. So the due on sale clause. Okay, so for example, that is the biggest risk with seller financing. Just like anything else, there's always risk when we get out into the car and we drive out. There's possibilities of us crashing. There's always risk. Okay, but there's ways to mitigate. So the due on sale clause, that is when the bank notices that someone else is doing payments or someone else has the ownership of the property, and then they call the note due immediately. But the way it's written out is the contract for deed. So at the title company, this is the most important part. So at the title company, they process it as a contract for deed. Again, the buyer isn't gonna have full ownership until the mortgage is paid off. So that's when the actual deed is gonna be transferred over. So again, contract for deed when the mortgage is paid off. But for the most part, the banks, they just want their money. That's all they want. So what title does is they set up a third-party escrow company that the buyer does payments to the escrow company, and that escrow company pays the mortgage. So it's all on paper and it's legit, and a lot of the times that hardly ever happens. But I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. So that's why it's important to go with the title company that does it this way, which is the contract for deed. So that's the most important part. Okay, that's it on it. You guys have any questions though? 'Cause I know there's a lot of information on any of the examples.
Well, we'll have a lot of questions when we do the first one.
Yeah. And it's pretty, there's a lot of moving parts to it, a ton of moving parts. But again, it's the team that's gonna help, the team that's gonna know, not only you guys are gonna be, or not just you guys have to know all this information. And again, we already went through all the troubles and all the headaches and stuff like that, so, yeah.
So going through seller financing with you guys, doing any kind of fix or anything, you guys, again, one of your main points was hire professionals. Do you guys already have a team lined up, or is that something that we have to go and investigate ourselves?
Yeah, no, for the most part, we already have everything. We have title companies, so, and we have title companies, we have, GCs, realtors, we're good. Yeah, we definitely do have a team already. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Good, okay.
Good job.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, man.
Alright, awesome. Thank you, Brian. So the last part of the presentation, or the seminar, is gonna be talking about life insurance. So, we talk about life insurance because it's important. A lot of us don't think about it. A lot of us don't have it because it's optional. Like you can decide if you want it or not. But when you understand the real power of life insurance, everybody should have it. Some of the things in life that are always guaranteed is we gotta pay our taxes and we're all gonna die. So if we know those things are gonna happen, then why don't we prepare for those things? So, this portion of the seminar, me and Jairo are going to present. Do you want to do your introduction? I'll do it afterwards. Cool. All right. So just to give you a background, so all of us here again, we have multiple licenses. So I have my real estate license and also my life insurance license. So why I chose to get my life insurance license is basically a lot of the clients that we work with, they're Hispanic clients. So when you look at the Hispanic population, a lot of them are you know, they do construction, they do mechanic, you know, they do hard labor work. And usually if it's a family, the wife is usually the one that she's at home, she's taking care of the kids. So within my business, I realized, hey, like, we're helping you get into a house, but what are we really doing in order to help you, you know, keep the home? So, you know, you gotta put yourself in that situation of what if something happens to that breadwinner, and that, you know, what are you gonna do with the house? Because you don't have a job, your job is taking care of the kids, right? You can't afford to take on that mortgage. So that's where we decided to get into life insurance. Because life insurance, first of all, is super cheap, and it does help to offset a lot of those costs when it comes to a death of a partner. So through life insurance, I don't know, how many of you guys have life insurance here? So we got 1, 2, 3. Okay. What kind of insurance do you guys have? Is it just like a term policy? Term? Okay. Brian, you said, oh yeah, I hooked you up to you.
Yeah, you hooked me up, bro, so you should know.
Yeah. Angel?
Permanent.
Yeah, permanent, perfect. Juan, you have insurance? Yeah. What do you have?
Tuesday.
Okay. Is that through, who's it through?
From the credit union.
From a credit union?
Yeah.
Okay.
They provide it.
They got it, okay, perfect. So a lot of people have life insurance, right? And it's usually through their employer or through like credit unions or like their car insurance. They do like a whole bundle thing, which is good. Obviously, you know, having some sort of insurance is good. The thing with that is it's not personalized to your situation. So all of us have different economic standings where we're at, different goals that we're trying to achieve. So insurance is not a one size fits all. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I learned. When it comes to term insurance, right? Term insurance is awesome, it's cheap, but the thing with it is like what the word is, it's a term. So eventually it's gonna end. So if you don't die, what happens? You have to go back and reapply for insurance, right? When you go back and reapply for insurance, it comes out to be more expensive. Why is it more expensive? Because if you have a 10, 15, 20-year term, whatever it is, you're that much closer to dying. So when you're that much closer to dying, your cost goes up because you're more of a liability to those insurance companies. So knowing all those things and then learning the aspect of real estate investing, I don't know if you guys knew, how many of you guys knew that you can use life insurance in order to invest in real estate? Or have heard of the concept? No? Cool. A lot of people haven't because that's the thing we're taught, right? We're just taught about life insurance, just the whole term part of it. So there's a ton of different products now where you can have your death benefit and you can also grow a cash value account attached with it. We work with multiple investors that's how it is that they go and flip properties. So they'll pull money from these accounts, borrow it against themselves, and then go and either buy properties or use them for the rehabs. So a lot of people also, you hear of hard money. A lot of people, that's where they get their hard money from. They'll take the money from their policies, they go out and borrow it, and obviously charge a higher interest rate. So the reason why I love insurance is for all of those reasons that I said. We're all gonna die. We all want to become investors. We're all looking for secure places to put money. And Jairo's gonna go into a little bit more detail about how these products work and how it is that they're protected. But it is something that we should all have. And if you haven't thought about it, I'm sure after this presentation, you're gonna want to have insurance. So luckily we've got multiple people in the room that are licensed to do it. So I'll present to you Jairo. So Jairo's been in real estate for multiple years. He's had his life license for more than 10 years. Him and I, that's how we got connected, was through the life insurance part. And we realized we both had licenses and we're like, hey, let's do our thing and try to help people. He comes from California. His biggest thing is, creating multiple businesses and trying to be successful, for his daughter, who she's here, special guest, watching Coco Melon in the back. So without further ado, Jairo.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for your time and patience. There's food in the bag, so when we're done with it, you guys can eat. But for now, you guys have to listen to me. So I appreciate you guys coming out, taking the time on a Saturday especially. It means that you guys are invested in yourselves more than anything. And I want to thank all the speakers and presenters today because we really took a long time to put this piece together, and you guys are really making history right now because you're at the beginning of it. And there's a good quote that I like, and it says, "History will be kind to me because I plan to write it." So, believe it or not, it's been almost 4 years since I met Steven and we started doing business, and I told him 3.5 years ago we went to a photo shoot in downtown Salt Lake when we used to wear suits. It needs to be fancy. And I was like, look, Steven, in 3 years from now, I promise you we're gonna have a bunch of houses sold, we're gonna flip houses, we're gonna be investing, we're gonna sell buildings, and we're gonna be managing properties, and we're gonna be teaching people how to do this. Today, you're witnessing the last quarter of that, which is we're not teaching people how to do it, because everything else we already did. So why do I say that is because we wanted to prove a concept. We wanted to prove that you can do it. You can do it not being born from a rich family. You could do it not knowing anything. You could do it coming from a Hispanic background. You could do it from a, immigrant parents. All the excuses that we all put ourselves and give ourselves every single day, like we all have them. Me and Steven have them. But we said, screw the excuses and we're gonna do it anyway. So that's why it's important for us to talk to, Gerardo, starting with mindset, because we had to get our mind right first. And then, we had to learn the other side of real estate. See, there's two sides of real estate. There's the real estate, buying the house with their agent, and then there's the whole lending side, the whole money part of it. You have to understand both. And then there's other things, other ways, right? Because one of the biggest problems why people are not getting ahead is because they need more income. They want to make more money, right? So why you're not ready to buy a house is you think you want to make more money. Maybe you're actually making good money now, but you want to make more money so you feel more secure. So the whole point of what me and Steven were wanting to do is to be able to make more money for ourselves and for our clients. So the way me and Steven make money is we help other people make money. All of our clients are pretty much now investors. They either invest in real estate, in businesses, or in other different things. And what we did is we said, hey, look, we know how to do these things and that can help your money make more money. And we were able to do that over and over again. And me and Steven were able to make a good living now. He doesn't have a job, he's 100% full-time self-employed. Same thing with me, and it took us a few years, but we did it. So what I want to talk to you guys about today is he kind of touched about life insurance. That's one of our areas of expertise. See, there's only a few ways you guys are going to get this information today, right? If you were, like I said, if you were born into a rich family, that your uncle's a lawyer, your cousin's a real estate agent, your mom's the doctor, things like that. It's called, the language of money, right? That's what we're learning here today. And because we are talking about money, there's one person that I want to introduce you guys to. We'll start off there. His name is John D. Rockefeller. Do you guys know who John D. Rockefeller is? I don't even know how to spell his name right. John D. Rockefeller. So, what business do you guys think makes the most money in the world? Real estate. Okay, that's a good one. Anyone else?
Insurance.
Insurance. Oh, close. It's actually oil. Oil makes the most money. We're heard of that Dubai money, Abu Dhabi money, right? So this guy is historically known to be the best American business guy in the U.S. doing oil. When he was alive, in history, he's able to make the most money in oil. Pretty smart guy. I'm not this smart, but I like to study smart people. So why am I talking to you about oil and John D. Rockefeller? Well, because he had a very, very special structure. He's one of the first people that figured out how to do this. It's called portfolio, I can't write back. Portfolio management. That's what you guys are learning about today without you guys even realize it. The only way you guys can get this kind of information is you have to pay someone $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to sit down with them. And that's just, they're gonna tell you, they're not even gonna do the stuff for you. They're gonna just tell you everything I told you today. You can go to a Limitless seminar that's happening today, and you get the VIP session for $3,000, and maybe they'll tell you a little bit about this stuff. You can go to a family office, they call it. So normally you're gonna witness this, and it's called a family office. And really rich people go to a really fancy office in a big skyscraper, and there they have attorneys, they have insurance guys, they have real estate investors. Just like in every one of these offices, there's a specialized person that knows about all these things. And you go from room to room to room where they tell you, and they do portfolio management. So that's what I've been able to accomplish is figure out how to do this for other people. Because here's what I figured out. Growing up, my parents were pretty poor and didn't have good jobs, and we used to always move. And we used to always look for a good moving bonus or moving special, right? And so I was tired of that. So when I grew up, I was like, you know what? How do I make sure that I never have to worry about where I live? Well, if I figure out how real estate works, and how to manage properties, and I'm a property manager, do you guys think I'm gonna know how to get myself a house? Or a place to live at least? I don't worry about a place to live anymore, I can figure that out. So, do you guys think that if you guys figure out how money works and the language of money, are you guys gonna worry about money? Or not gonna worry about money, right? So, the only way, so today, you're not in a family office, and I'm gonna show you how to do portfolio management, because this is what this guy got really good at doing. So what I'm gonna show you today is the structure of what he did, because there's a book, it's called What Would the Rockefellers Do, if you guys wanna go and read it, and it breaks down very specific. So I'm gonna give you like the simple version today. But everyone like knows, like, so we're talking about life insurance, right? And there's term, and then there's permanent. So everyone is very familiar with term, right? It's like car insurance. You pay it, if something happens, they pay your family, right? It's very transactional, and it's really just there for coverage. It can help you protect your life, it can help you protect a house, or it can help you protect a business, right? If you have a business partner and he's very important to you and he dies, it may be worth $1 million for him to be alive. So you can buy a life insurance policy to protect that business partner and that business. You can buy it to protect the house, so in case you pass away. See, the majority of houses are lost in family generations because someone died, and the person that died is the person that was paying the house. And the people that are left can't afford to pay the house, they don't know how to do it, they don't understand the language of how money works in real estate, so they end up losing the house. And if you have a family, and you have little ones that are depending on you, well, if you're gone, it's all gone. The whole master plan that you had, that you thought you were gonna do, is gone. Unless you have an insurance plan for it. And I don't just mean insurance. So who here has heard of like a will? You guys have heard of a will, right? How many of you guys actually have one actually officially set up? Okay, that's okay. So life insurance is called the poor man's will. Because in a life insurance policy, you can write down specifically when you want that money to. If I set up a policy, and if I want my daughter to receive that money when she's graduated high school, first year in college, gets at least B's, I can actually write it in the life insurance policy, and they will not pay out until she presents her grades, and she presents that she's done certain things, right? So it is called a poor man's will. So if nothing else, the life insurance can help you do two things: protect the family and create a will, so that your wishes, whatever you had planned to do, can actually accomplish, okay? So that's that part of it. So now let's get to the exciting part, because that's not the exciting part. Permanent life insurance. Let me erase this part. So we're gonna go back to John D. Rockefeller. So who's here has heard of a trust? Trust? You guys know what a trust is? I haven't figured out how to say trust in Spanish. It's like doesn't even sound right.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's the word.
But it's a word, right? I Googled it and I didn't believe him, so.
She tells us.
It's confianza, so put a trust, right? So in English, it's actually a lot more of a common word. But a trust, you guys know what a trust does? See, I didn't really get it, but a trust is, you're creating another entity. So it's not like an LLC, it's not like you're creating a LLC corporation. It's similar, but a trust is going to be, it's this document right here, okay? It's called a trust. And inside this document, there is the trustee and the trustor. So this person manages it. This person is basically the beneficiary. So this is where John D. Rockefeller's plan starts. He figured out, well, I have billions of dollars. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I wanna take care of my family. I wanna take care of philanthropy, which is like good charities and stuff. And I wanna make sure that my money goes somewhere when I'm gone, somewhere that I wanna choose to. I still wanna have that control. So it's a little weird, but you have a level of control even when you're not here. So if you're a control freak, there you go.
Toxic.
Right. So
The next level of toxic.
the cool thing is, what I want you guys to understand today about a trust is that this thing, you can manage it, and you can be the beneficiary, even yourself. So it doesn't have to be someone else. So what does this do? This creates a wall of protection. This is protection. This is the strongest protection that you can have from anything. So when someone tries to sue you, or when they put you in jail, you go bankrupt, if you put stuff inside this trust, it is protected and it's accessible. So what are you gonna put inside the trust is the important part. Well, what John D. Rockefeller did was he started putting real estate, started putting companies, started putting life insurance. He put a life insurance policy for himself, for his wife, for his kids. But guess what else he did? He went and got one for his cousin that worked for his company. He got one for his cousin's kids and his wife. So now, every time someone passes away in the Rockefeller family, they have a life insurance policy. That life insurance money goes straight into the trust. Guess what that trust does? This trust takes care of the John D. Rockefeller Foundation. And that foundation takes care of every single member of that family. There's currently more than 200 millionaires alive today that get benefits from a trust from the Rockefeller Foundation. So why am I telling you? It's because this is what I'm trying to teach you guys to do. Is if you guys want to build real wealth and you want to protect it, if you don't have a bunch of money right now, you don't have a lot of worries. But when you start getting a bunch of, if you have houses, you own buildings, you own investment accounts, people know you have money, then they're gonna try and fall in front of your building and say, oh, I fell, you didn't have a wet sign up, I'm gonna sue you. Well, that's why you need to have, and I don't set up trusts. We can show you who to go to for setting up trusts. We have a partner for that. And I'm not an attorney, but this is not legal advice, just a disclaimer. This is just a recommendation. But what I'm saying is that the structure is the most important thing. Is not just understanding, oh, I need to have a life insurance policy for protection. It's what can you do with it? And that's what we're trying to teach you guys today is what can you do with these tools? You can buy a house. This is what I tell my clients. I can show you how to buy a house or I can show you how to buy 10. Which one do you want? Because it's the same thing, same process. It takes me about an hour and a half to explain to you either way. It's just a different presentation. So you want to be a homeowner or do you want to be an investor? How many times do you guys think they switch? They come to me and they say they want to be a homeowner, and when they leave, they're like, oh yeah, I'm an investor now. Because even if you start off with one, you have to start off with one. So John D. Rockefeller paid very smart lawyers to come up with this structure. So you're not gonna learn it today, and I don't expect you guys to learn it all today. That's why we're here, otherwise I wouldn't have a job, right? Because I need to show you guys how to do this. But so now instead, in the other scenario I was talking about earlier, every time someone passes away in our family, do you guys know that if all of our families, are you guys for sure that all your family has life insurance right now? Your cousins, your aunts? No. So what is our family what happens when our families pass away? We suffer.
GoFundMe.
Yeah, well, if you're smart, you do a GoFundMe, even then, right? But the point is you suffer every time that someone passes away. Instead of having a celebration of someone's life and say, hey, look, we no longer have them, but we have all these things that they did or things that they can do or they can pass on. We're not worried about how we're gonna pay the bills, if we're gonna lose the house, do I have to sell the car, do I have to sell my gold? That's what my family does, they sell their gold and they pay for stuff. And so, what I want you guys to remember today is John D. Rockefeller. Makes a lot of money, very smart guy. There's a book called the What Would the Rockefellers Do? And it's important that him being as smart as he was, as rich as he was, he still thought it was very good decision to go and talk to people smarter than him. Because he was smart in making oil. He didn't know how to do the trust, he didn't know how to do the life insurance, he didn't know how to do all these other things that actually made him very wealthy and protected his wealth. And it's the reason why I'm talking about him today. You know, I don't know, it's been like 100 years since the guy died, you know? And so, questions on this so far? It's kind of complicated, but it's okay, we're gonna figure it out. So, what is important is you guys need to set up a trust. Usually you need to set up a will, and then you can set up your life insurance, and then your life insurance can help you buy real estate. So I'm gonna show you more about that next. So all these things, what I want you to understand today is that they can work together. It's like a car, right? You need to have the engine, you need that transmission, you need the tires, you need the windshield. There's more to it. We hop in and we put gas and you think that's all you need. Just because it's that easy, it's not really that easy. So if you want to, have a better financial life, then it's important for you to learn these things. Okay, so now I'm gonna tell you guys another story. I got two more stories and then we're out of here. Let's do this guy. This guy's one. Mr. Larry P. There's two Larrys. One's Larry P and one's Larry F. We're gonna talk about Larry P today. So Larry P is actually a really cool guy, likes to golf, likes to tell jokes, and doesn't like to work. So when he was young, he used to work for like a gas company or something like that. And he decided, you know what, I'm gonna start doing real estate. So Larry says, I'm gonna start doing real estate, start selling houses. Well, he realizes he's making good money. And he doesn't know what to do with this money, but he understands that, well, I know how real estate works, so I'm gonna at least do that. He didn't know much about anything else. So he started buying houses. And a few years later, he bought another one. Next thing you know, Larry's got like, how many even 5, 6, 7, 10 houses at that time?
Yeah.
Like 10
I
houses.
think like 10, yeah.
So we're gonna talk about
Oh,
10
we know
houses.
Larry.
Yeah, he's a real person.
Alright.
He's a real person.
What's his real name?
That's 8.
That's his real name?
Yes. Oh.
I just can't tell you for legal reasons his last name.
Last.
So he's got 10 little houses. And he's making money on them, right? So now he does his little real estate, so he gets his little real estate commissions, he helps people buy houses, and then he's a good promoter of the houses because he buys houses too. So it's like people believe him, they're like, okay, cool, look, he buys them, we should buy them, he rents them out, he makes money. So he starts to make a little bit of cash flow. The problem is, Larry has no 401k, no retirement, no Roth IRA, or maybe he had a Roth, but I think it's a very small one, he didn't really actively use it. He had nothing else besides real estate. He had all his money in real estate. And in the beginning, it seemed like a really good idea. The problem is, he didn't understand that every one of these houses was like almost $500,000 liability, that he had no protection. So if something were to actually happen, worst case scenario in each one of these houses, he was actually in really big trouble. He had his regular house insurance, right? So like the house burns down, but I'm talking about like someone slips and falls and sues you. I'm talking about someone like your renters, like you're not paying, your mortgages go upside down. There was just like, he had all his eggs in one basket. Who's heard of that? Don't put all your eggs in one basket thing, right?
Yeah.
Right? And so that was his setup. It looked from like the outside, like, okay, he's got like 10 houses. And he was making like 5,000 to 7,000 per month just on these houses. He wouldn't even work no more. He would, if someone came, you know, he would help them sell a house, but if they didn't, he was depending on these rentals. Well, the only problem is that he started having management issues. And he used to manage them himself. So he started spending 20, 30, 40 hours a week managing these houses. Well, he had a job, he just didn't know it. He was working for himself, literally. So he was getting tired because the money looked good, but then he didn't have time. He wanted to go golfing, and he didn't like paying people for management. He didn't have no systems, no plan, no team. So he got tired of this. So here's what he figured out. I don't have no retirement. I don't have 401k. I don't have Roth. I don't have nothing besides these houses, and I'm tired of it. The good thing about real estate and property management when you own a bunch of houses is that they make you money. The bad thing is you have to still work the thing, right? So unless you have a management team, you're gonna have to be the one doing it. And after 10, it gets pretty complicated. There's a lot of phone calls, a lot of plumbers, a lot of electricians you gotta call. And so he's like, you know what? Tired of this. So what can I do? So he said, I'm gonna do something different.
Call Steven and Hira.
So he took all his 10 houses and he cashed them out and sold them. And then he decided, well, now I have a lot of money, but I don't have nothing to do with it. The only problem when you have a lot of money is you don't have nowhere to put it. So who heard that Jay-Z and Beyonce just bought a house for $200 million? You guys hear that? Jay-Z and Beyonce just bought a house for $200 million cash. The reason they bought a house is because they're billionaires and they don't have nowhere to put that money. So the best place to put the money is in a house, because in a house like that, the bank, to the bank's eyes, they're like, okay, that's an asset. So Larry thought he had assets, but those assets turn into liabilities. So, here's the cool thing. Larry had equity. This is the most important word of the day, equity. There's only a few things that help you build equity. Real estate, his stock options, technically, a business, or insurance products. Why is equity so important? Because that means you have value in an asset. And when you have value in an asset, you're allowed to borrow against that asset tax-free. So if Jay-Z and Beyonce buy a house for $200 million, what that sounds like to me and what that looks like to me is they now can borrow probably 70 to 80% loan to that LTV on that $200 million. So they just made about $150 million tax-free. Why? Because they know how real estate works, they know how their money works, they know how to leverage the loans that they get. So that is an extreme example, but we've talked about real estate today. Stock options is a lot more complicated situation. If you have a business, right, if you have a business and your business makes money, your business is worth something. Most people are not gonna figure this out. A lot of people are non-business owners, even though I'm a promoter of business owners, majority of America is a worker, which is not a bad thing. Some people are into real estate, but you have real estate and insurance is where you're gonna build equity. So what Larry did is he took all his money and he dumped it into life insurance. Now, he has no kids, right?
No.
He has no kids. So do you think that he thinks he needs life insurance for his kids if he has no kids? He just sold all his properties. So does he need life insurance to protect his properties like I told you? No, he just sold them all. So why is he putting his money in life insurance? Because he figured out that the life insurance that we offered him was an IUL, Index Universal Life. He figured out that insurance is how it works. There's a minimum and there's a maximum. The IRS says, IRC 7702, that this is the minimum the insurance company has to charge you, and this is the maximum of money that you can put into the life insurance policy. So he did this, he filled it all up. He maxed out his life insurance policy. So now he's got, I don't know, maybe like 500,000 inside of a life insurance policy. And this policy is gonna make him anywhere from 6 to 8% on his money. Forever. Hassle-free, no management, doesn't have to worry about the house, has no liabilities, zero paperwork, zero phone calls. So he used real estate to become an investor, then he was living off that, but then he realized he doesn't want to deal with the headaches of management, and he didn't want to hire someone else, because then you still have to manage the managers, you know what I mean? Like, you still have to call someone and say, hey, is my house okay? Like, it's still in the top of your mind, like, you know, he's gonna drive by, all his houses were like in his neighborhood, so like he could drive by and see all his houses. So it was stressful, just knowing that he didn't have a lot of trust in other people, so it's like, okay, if I'm not gonna trust someone else to do it, what am I gonna do? So, what he was able to, we were able to show him to do is sell all those properties, cash them all out, pay a little bit of taxes, and then take that whole